Hey everybody, this is Diane. This is a different kind of a video because I'm going to show you 3 journals that I made while I was making other journals, but you didn't know I was making these. These are journals that I'm keeping, and so I didn't show them while I was creating ring-bound journals and journals with sewing patterns and Raggedy Ann journals. I was creating one of each for myself. So I decided I'm going to show them to you. I figured I would save up a few and just show them to you. So this is obviously the ring-bound journal made with a wonder book called Let's Go Shopping. And I just put this vintage blue pom-pom on the edge. I love domestic things. I am a domestic person, and I loved the things that meant taking care of my husband and children. Going shopping, grocery shopping was part of that. So this journal really appealed to me, and it was a very cute book. So I'll just quickly go through. It has the same elements that were in the other ring-bound journals, but I did those. They were the last journals I did in 2024, and we are in March of 2025. So maybe you don't remember what was in those journals. This is a digital of a perfume bottle. This is a little cluster tuck spot. And a music flashcard. This is a digital flashcard. These are digitals. Wallpaper. I stamped these pieces. From a vintage calendar or appointment book. Large index card. This is from a children's book. And I stamped this, and this is a vintage, I guess I made a copy of this. I have this in my collection, but I made a little tablet out of it. A little golden book card. Beautiful birthday card. Just note paper and a cider label and some pictures from an old yearbook that I can create with. Another music flashcard. And I made this with a die cut, and I put embossing powder on it and some brads. This was one of the pieces that was in my stash for a long time of ephemera that I had made. So I put it in here with a layaway tag, and this cut from a music book, I think. Music book cover or a magazine book cover. An advertisement for insurance. This folds down for writing. A pickle bag with a tag that I cut from scrapbook paper. This is a little cluster that I made, and that's a digital from, I think that's from KB and Friends. Vintage flashcard. This from a pattern book, 1970s pattern book I have, the catalog, reminded me of my mother's fabric shop when I was a teen, and she sold quick sew patterns. And this is not a quick sew pattern, but this reminds me of the images in that, and also the era of the Western shirt and the embroidery. I actually made my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, I made him a chambray shirt with this folk art embroidery. He actually wore it, so looking back on that, that tells me how much he loved me. It had epaulets and just all kinds of things to embroider on, so I did it. There's another music flash card and some photo corners in different colors, vintage photo corners. This is a Mary Engelbreit calendar. This is a digital and a collage tag and an image. This old picture reminds me of old pictures that I've seen of my Aunt Linda, my dad's sister. That's not her, but makes me think of her. Some collage here with digitals, and this is from an old catalog. Wallpaper. This is a digital. I love that little girl, and that's from a book. And so is this. I want to put that on something so I can journal on it. Didn't do that yet. There are some things unfinished in these because I got to the point where I finished the journals I was selling, and I thought, well, I'll go back and finish the details in my own books, but of course I moved on to other projects. This one has a stencil, a claim check, some game money, and I think that's Travel Monopoly or Junior Monopoly game card. And I've got a couple cards here. There's another pocket here I didn't put anything in. This page in the book has tape on it. That's how I got it. And I did two little pockets on this page with some digitals tucked in, and this cut from a vintage magazine. Mother is teaching the girl as they go through the store where the food comes from, how it gets to the grocery store. This is a choral group from an old yearbook, and I was in a choral group, but then for at least my last 2 years, maybe my last 3 years of high school, I was the pianist for the chorus. A collage tag with a vintage lady on it. So that's why I put that in there. It made me remember my high school days. It came out. And then a library pocket at the back with a Mrs. Coggs digital. And this is a real card that was removed from a library book. It's stamped in the 1980s. I've started putting my signature thing in my own journal so that my kids will know which ones I made, because I have, as you know, journals purchased from other people too. Let's go shopping. This one was the sewing pattern one, and it was from the 40s, and it was a nightgown. So I did lingerie images from vintage magazines. Sleepwear and lingerie. There's the back of the pattern. And this is just a strip of fabric with sewing pattern images. And I added some pretty lacy collages, or lacy appliques on there, and some pink pom-pom, and the black rickrack, because, you know, the nightgowns are pink and black. Tied it with black seam binding. I did a collage on the front. I can write my name there. Some of these things have to be glued to cardstock. But it's a lady having rinsed her hair with lemon. So it's night sleepwear, lingerie, and beauty routine stuff. And this is, you know, after your shower or your bath, and you're in your sleepwear, and you're ready to have a nice chocolate dessert. Might actually try that recipe sometime. This is a file folder that I turned into a pocket, kind of a library style pocket. And that's a digital. And this is from an old magazine, talcum powder. So with this, I made 5 journals altogether, because I made 2, I think 2 with lady sewing patterns and 2 with girl sewing patterns, but I don't really remember actually how many I did. This is a vintage hairdressing label, and this is from a vintage pattern, ladies bathrobe, and that's a digital. This is from a pattern catalog. This is the Izzard's bag. I had to keep a part of it. I talked about that in my other video when I did the other journals, because I put part of this in another journal. But this was a store in Elmira, New York, and I remember the Izzard's fashion show that was on TV on Saturdays. My mother would watch. They could show you what new fashions were in the store. And I just added this image of some hosiery. There is a bra and girdle ad, and another one. I have to back that with something too. A digital page and a tab. This is from a children's book about dolls, international dolls, and I put some black lace on the edge of it. Here's another pattern cover with some more bathrobes, and looks like maybe they're having pie for breakfast. It looks like a little pie. I put a millinery flower on this with some stamens and a little crocheted flower. This was a very old, very fragile pattern cover, and I cut her out and put her on here. She was torn here, and her elbow was torn off, and there's a tear here, so she was in rough shape. But she's safe and secure now. This is a digital perfume bottle. And this pair of gloves was on a pattern for making gloves. That was all torn up. But I rescued, and I had to fussy cut around the fingers and everything. And this came from one of the magazines, More Beauty, More Style, More Value. Another one that needs to be glued to cardstock, but it's a slip. And we have some more talcum powder. This is a page from a Woman's Day magazine. And I think it's about your hair. And she is doing putting some lotion on her legs, and kind of in the same pose. She's putting her foo-foo slippers on after her bath. This cute picture from a Sears or Ward's catalog of some really cute pajamas with little bloomers. There's a piece of stationery here. This is a card for the Elastic Products Company in Chicago, Illinois. For excuse me, for a free sample, sign and mail this card. This is a page from the sewing catalog with slips. And from a sewing book, sewing instruction book. This is the other page of that Woman's Day magazine. Oil treatments for your hair, protection, and unruly hair. That would be me. This is a wrapper from Rick Rack, a very old one. I put this little, I think this is a digital, I think. And this was a part of a digital. I cut it so it would fit there. Another ad, or a catalog image. I better go back through here and glue these things to paper and cardstock. And an antique postcard. A double pocket. And it has a guest check, and this was cut from a sewing pattern, glued to a flash card. And that's a digital. And a plain card. And an image from a magazine for stockings. And some hair care. Your hair needs Danderine. This is a really cute button card digital. And there's Monopoly money and some tickets and an Avon paperclip. Here's the other side of the Izzard's bag. And we have an ad for Dial soap and a slip image from a catalog. Look at the beautiful lace at the bottom of that slip. That is so pretty. Put this pretty lace on the bag. That's a digital for, I think it was a needle book. So pretty. This is cut from a pattern. And there's several pages here for writing on. And then at the end we have a bra on a pocket. And this is from an old needlework book. And it's lingerie that you can embroider. And we have a Snapdragon seed packet, and this is cut from a pajama pattern, the back of the pattern envelope. And hosiery ad and some merchant's tickets. And this was also cut from a pattern. It's got a tear in it, but you can't tell because it's glued down. So that was my sewing pattern journal. And then I did my own Raggedy Ann journal. And I even put together a packet like I did for the ones that I sold. Calico on the spine, buttons on the spine. Raggedy Ann's Wishing Pebble. Raggedy Ann is so much fun. This one has a board and coupon. So again, it has a lot of the same things that the ones that I sold had. That's a digital of rag dolls. I love it. I added some vintage eyelet and a orange gingham ribbon. This isn't a page from the book. 2 pockets with cards. They're both Project Life cards. And I just took images from the books and matted them with cardstock. Made a fabric flip with this gorgeous fabric that Selena sent me. And I put some quotes from the book throughout. And this one is a digital page from Mrs. Coggs. It's a title page from one of the books. That's an image I cut from a book and glued it to some lined paper and stamped up there. I stamped this image and colored it. I think I'm supposed to go back and color that too. Got some newer ledger paper and vintage. And this is a book about making rag dolls, it looks like. I don't remember. But I glued some lined paper for writing, and I have this little sticker, vintage Raggedy Ann sticker. This is a stamp. I love that stamp. It's a really cute Raggedy Ann book that I got from somebody. I don't remember if it was Selena or somebody else. I put a milk bottle cap, and I had this little skinny booklet that I had in my stash that I made. I put the same image on there and there. I must have liked it. That's an up tuck. I can put something in there. I'm almost out of these florist hang tags, and I've had them for years. Some of them said Water Daily, but most of them had images of flowers and plants on them. That's a slide mount, and you can see that my ink smeared. There's Raggedy Ann and Andy grosgrain ribbon. This is cut from a newer Raggedy Ann book. And this was cut from a sheet of Raggedy Ann paper dolls. I love that flower. This was in a magazine, and it was a card where you could join the Raggedy Ann and Andy Storytime Club and get these books. And this is a stamped card. This again is from that newer book. And this is a paper, it was on a memo pad from a moving company called Wabash. And I just like the colors with the Raggedy Ann stuff. This is something that I had made, and it was in my stash. It was made with some Elizabeth Craft Designs dies. A digital from Mrs. Cog, and I added eyelet and a printed ribbon with hearts, red hearts. This is an excuse card for the high school, my local high school. I don't know how old that is. Another fabric flip with another Raggedy Ann fabric. This is flannel fabric that I picked up at a thrift store. And I love this ad for Ritz crackers. Looks like I sprayed that paper through a stencil. But she's holding a Raggedy Ann doll, feeding her Ritz crackers. So cute. This is a vintage embroidered trim. Wallpaper border. I have to glue that closed. It's just a card in there. Just a plain card. I love this trim. It's a little piece of braid trim. Collection of stamps that I use there. Another little sticker from the Bob's Merrill Company. They're the ones that got the rights to Raggedy Ann, and so they made the Raggedy Ann dolls and other Raggedy Ann merchandise, books and everything. I love this calico quilt piece. Bingo card that I collaged. Put some colorful yarn in there. And the last signature. It's a paint chip. And again, this is another unexcused absence card and a postcard. I had blue ones and yellow ones, and they were both for different things. I think one was an excuse card and the other one said unexcused absence. And that needs to be glued to something. This is from that same paper that has the primitive rag dolls. I love it. Vintage trims here. Project Life card. And a library card and a plain tag. And there's Raggedy Andy. Now this, I found it at the Barnes flea market, and it said free, and I couldn't believe it. So this was sold at Griswold's Hallmark store. And I believe that was at the mall that we used to go to when I was young. And, you know, I can still go to it. It's just not the same. Griswold's isn't there anymore. But anyway, this Hallmark bag was there at the flea market. And I had to put that in my journal. This is wrapping paper. And this is part of that Prim's paper too, with the rag dolls, I believe. I think it is. This is something about music, a letter for ordering music. And I have a stack of these heart shapes cut out of fabric. And they're perfect for the Raggedy Ann journals. And another antique postcard. I have this stamp, so I cut it with a die with this oval shape, oblong. It's not really an oval. And 2 sizes for the white and the red, and I think it makes a really cute pocket. And this is a leftover from a Polka Dot Pixels kit. And this is a 70s, it was from a 70s pattern catalog, and she's got Raggedy Ann faces on her pockets. That's a stamp. And this is from a Raggedy Ann pattern. You would iron this onto the cloth body and embroider I love you on it before you sewed it together. Another page from the shape book. And this is from the pattern envelope. So their feet are missing. They're each missing 1 foot because the pattern was very tattered. And here's the other side of that pattern page with the shoulder bag with the Raggedy Ann face. Another postcard, and this is for that music company that the letter was from. Theodore Presser Company, Philadelphia, this letter. It's another grosgrain ribbon. Oh, no, that wasn't from that Primitives. It was from Mrs. Coggs, because that's a Mrs. Coggs thing. Here's the other side of that Griswold's bag, and I just put a embossed tag in there that I can embellish later when I work in this book, if I ever do. Griswold's, downtown Elmira, Elmira Heights, the mall. So it must have been in many locations, but the mall one is the one I used to go to. That one is from the Primitive. I think it's called Prim's. I don't know who the designer is. It's really cute. And this is from wrapping paper. I glued him to a piece of cardstock. And there's a book page. Oh, it's from a Candy Heart. Raggedy Ann's Candy Heart Wisdom was a little book. Has some cute quotes on it. And we have a library pocket at the back. And this is an actual library card, 1973. It was first stamped. The Eternal Hills was the name of the book. I've never seen a card that little. I wonder if they cut them in half to make them go further. So there we have it. 3 journals that I had made a little while ago for myself. I think these were all made in 2024. And this was the last batch that I did, like I said, in 2024. So I've been meaning to share them with you, so now I am sharing them with you. I hope you like them. And I have already started working on the next journal project, so maybe you'll see that in the next video. And I will see you then. Have a creative day. Bye.